Hello and welcome to my channel Polyglot Reading. My name is David and today I would like to present you a modern classic of the Italian literature, that is the novel History, published by Elsa Morante in 1974. In History, Elsa Morante tells the story of Ida Ramundo, a fearful and somewhat naive primary school teacher in Rome during the fascist regime and during World War II, and of her two different sons, Nino, known as Ninuzzo, and Giuseppe, known as Giuseppe. Nino is the son of Ida's one and only marriage, which unfortunately lasted only a few years, so she's a widow now. And Giuseppe is the result of a rape by a German soldier. And this rape took place when Ida had already been widowed for several years, and Nino was already a teenager. And the novel essentially describes this little family's struggle for survival, the struggle for normality during the fascist dictatorship and during the Second World War. Elsa Morante uses the full range of historical realism to tell the story, allowing the reader to share in the challenges faced by ordinary people, by the marginalized who are scraping by on the breadline, and um, showing us ordinary people struggling for life. And so, although the novel clearly focuses on Ida and her two sons as the main characters, it also is very rich in secondary characters that are described in a very detailed and empathetic way. So the novel feels a bit like giving us a kaleidoscopic view of little people's Rome in the 1940s. And with regard to how Morante treats the protagonists, on the one hand, she clearly avoids idealizing or glorifying her protagonists, but she also avoids exposing, shaming, or accusing them of their faults, or character flaws. Their faults, their character weaknesses, they are not ignored. They are presented to us, but without any moralizing undertone, always carried by a fundamental empathy with the human, all too human way we are as human beings. And what are these character flaws? One of Ida's weaknesses, for example, is her sometimes exaggerated anxiety, but also her lack of consistency or firmness in the way she brings up her boys, or she is educating them, and also her naivety in political and social issues, and also her inability to defend herself against injustice. Her older son, Nino, he undergoes quite a complex development. At first, like so many young people in that of that age, he is an enthusiastic supporter of fascism. He admires the Duce Mussolini, and he enthusiastically also takes part in all the events organized by the fascist youth organization. However, after some first real experiences of the war, and also supported by his inclination towards stubbornness and rebellion, this later leads him to join the partisan movement, and where he becomes a zealous fighter against the Italian fascists, but even more against the German occupiers. After the war, he turns to the black market and to smuggling, and which eventually leads him into criminal circles and gives his life a tragic turn. Little Giuseppe, on the other hand, is characterized by an extraordinary zest for life, for enthusiasm and good nature. His naivety and good naturedness manifests itself in a sort of an unconditional trust and confidence in the people around him. And particularly noteworthy is also his ability to communicate with animals. And there are a couple of touching scenes where he has conversations with his dog named Bella, who becomes his most loyal companion. And Giuseppe's sensitivity is also evident in the way he reacts to the atrocities and horrors of war that he experiences. Say nevertheless, he develops a kind of poetic view of the world that contrasts sharply with the brutal reality around him. Maybe this is some sort of psychological self-protection mechanism. But ultimately, his sensitivity proves to be his undoing when all these traumatic experiences finally lead to epileptic seizures, and the consequences of which will finally kill him. If we want to characterize this unequal pair of brothers on a more abstract level, and perhaps Elsa Morante deliberately sets it up that way, if you want to do so, you can read Nino as the pragmatic practitioner and egoist, or at least opportunist, and on the other hand, as a contrast, Giuseppe as the daydreaming idealist and altruist. But apart from these differences, it should be noted that this doesn't result in a real conflict between the brothers. On the contrary, there's a very strong connection and bond, and a very strong bond of love between these two brothers. So in a very touching way. The melancholy of the novel for me is in the fact that ultimately both characters, both boys, fail. The real winner, so to speak, is the title character, History, or La Storia in the Italian original. So history is the real winner who comes out on top here. And I understand Elsa Morante to mean that in inhumane phases of history, such as this phase of dictatorships in Europe and this world war, there are no easy recipes for survival, and ultimately there are no human winners. So this sort of ideology is based on dictatorship, on violence and oppression and destruction. They do not produce any winners, so we are all losers. And yeah, but despite this melancholy undertone and ending of the novel, um, this novel does not leave the reader feeling pessimistic. Yes, there's this sense of wistfulness and melancholy, but Morante also manages to highlight the special value of the small joyful scenes, of the small human gestures, and to give them a lasting value and a lasting memory. So this is what the reader will remember after having finished the novel. And in this respect, it is also a novel about humanity and for humanity, really highlighting the value of staying human and being able to carry out human gestures to your neighbors and the ones around you. So readers will remember Ida and Ninuzzo and little Giuseppe very fondly long after they have finished reading this novel. And I think that alone is much more than can be said about many new publications these days. So, History by Elsa Morante, a real modern classic of Italian literature, highly recommended reading. Please give it a try. So I hope I have been able to raise your interest in this novel. Please let me know in the comments. Hope to see you soon for another video. Take care. Bye bye and ciao.